Hey, what's going on everyone? This is BigBrace channel, your go-to place where we discover all things programming. My name is Amir, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to code a command line interface application, which is basically a loan calculator. You see different tutorials how to create a loan calculator in GUI using tkinter or Qt5 or Qt6 or even using React Native. This is a bit different and you will not find this anywhere on the internet. So this is an application that I've specifically designed to show you how to use Node.js to create a very useful loan calculator using command line interface. And I'm sure you guys know what is Node.js, which is a backend JavaScript runtime environment that runs on the V8 JavaScript engine, which is the same engine used by Google Chrome. And this server runtime environment executes JavaScript code outside a web browser. Alright, so let me very quickly show you what this application looks like. So I'm going to run the application now. Let's make like that. Let's make this a bit bigger. You can see here immediately that the interface is a command line interface. We are using here a package called Inquirer. This Inquirer package helps you to move arrows like that to prompt the user to answer some questions. Notice here we have a question. What would you like to do? So we can view all loans, we can update a loan, we can add a new loan, or we can exit. These are the choices that we have. If we will choose to view all loans, we have here IDs. So we have ID 1, name, amount, and the number of month. So we have ID 1, ID 2, and yes, you guessed it right. We are going to work with SQLITE database management system here. And these IDs are auto-increment and created automatically by SQLITE. We have the name, the amount, the month, and all of these, of course, are the fields in our table. So what's your name? I will say here, Amir. So how much is the loan amount in PLN or Polish zloty? So let's say, for instance, I want to take, let's say 200,000. How many months do you want to pay back the loan? So I will say that I want to repay this amount in 10 years. And voila, you get your monthly installment, which is 20,700 Polish zloty. So your loan details have been saved with ID 3. Notice here that we have already ID 1 and ID 2. That's why our database have registered a new record. So we have 3 records in our table. And if we will do view all loans again, the third ID belongs to myself with the correct amount and the correct number of months. We can also update a loan. So let's say I want to update that loan that I took. It's 200,000, right? So first of all, I need to enter the ID of the loan you want to update. So my ID is number 3. So I want to increase from 200,000 to 300,000. So let's do that. And as a consequence, I will also increase the number of months. So we will hit enter now. Loan with ID 3 has been updated. Rows affected 1 because we have only changed 1 row or 1 record. Let's check now. View all loans. The name Amir, ID 3, amount has changed from 200 to 300,000, and the number of months has changed from 10 to 15 months. So that's it. If I will hit exit, thank you for using our software. That's it, guys. This is our program that we're going to be coding today. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, with that being said, let's roll our sleeves and get started. All right, so the first thing that we want to do always is to create a folder. So let me just go quickly to my folder. I'm going to call it loan, cd loan, and let's create a basic Node project. You need to have npm. You can download the recommended for most users here, 18.15.0. Once you download that, you can check your Node version, node-v. So once you have Node installed, you can go ahead and do npm init-y. If I will not do -y, take a look. You can read here that npm will walk you through creating a package.json file. So you will need to answer all of these questions. Package.name, so you can type loan or you just hit enter to keep it as default, version 1.0, okay? And we can say this is a loan calculator. entry point index.js. I'll make it app.js. Test command, that's fine. Git repository, that's okay. Keywords, author Amir, aka Backbrace. License ISC, that's okay. Yep, that's fine. So we have now a package.json file. Let me just show you very quickly. So here you have everything. Yeah, everything that we have entered, the author, license, main, and everything else. And now we're going to download different packages, and these packages are going to be added to package.json file. So let's go ahead now and install what we want to install. First of all, I want to install Inquirer. We can install all of the packages on the same line. I'm sure you saw me many times doing that, just installing all the packages on the same line, but I don't know. For some reason, I decided to do them on different lines. npm install SQLITE3. That's very important for data persistence because we're going to create database file, as we're going to save everything that is related to our loan calculation. As you saw, the name, the amount, the number of month, everything basically in that file. So that's very important. And last but not least, we want to install Chalk. And Chalk is simply a package that gives colors to your command line interface application. If we'll go to package.json, let me show you. We'll go here to package.json. You can find that the packages have been added here. Chalk, Inquirer, SQLITE3. One very important thing you need to know as a configuration setup is to, just hold on, is to do like that. You will make type module, not common in JS. That's very important. It's just for ES6. This is for ES6 configuration because we're going to import instead of declaring a variable with const and require the package. So I can work with NeoVim, but yeah, let's do it with Visual Studio Code. That's no problem. And just close that, bring that here. All right, and let's create, we've said app.js, yeah? The entry point, yeah, app.js. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is to import Inquirer from Inquirer. And also I need SQLITE3. And what else we want? We want the Chalk. All right, so these are the three packages that we want. And first of all, I want, let me just add some small comment here on multiple lines. Created by Amir Beckett, programmed in Node.js. We can say this application allows you to enter the amount of loan you desire, the number of month you want, then the app will calculate the or how much installment payable per month, something like that. Just a small description for the application. We can add even for more professional look version 1.0.0. Yeah, why not? Because you can improve upon this application, I believe. You can add more functionalities to it. So the first thing we want to do here is creating or opening the database if it's already created. So create or open the database. We can do, and I'm sure you know this step now very well. We are declaring a variable called DB, and that's an instance of the database class. So we'll use, of course, the keyword new SQLITE3 dot database. And inside here, inside database or database function basically takes two arguments. It takes the file name and it doesn't appear, I wanted to show you. It takes two arguments basically, the file name and the callback function. So the file name that we want to create or open, if it's already created, I'm going to call it loans.db. Yeah, that's the file. And also what I want, oh, I see why now. That's a mistake here. It was not changed. That's why the database was not. Now it should work. Yeah, there you go. So that's the constructor, database constructor. It takes, I told you, it takes a string, the file name, yeah, and it takes the callback function. And of course, we will do the error, the canceling error in case of any errors. So let's do that. So we'll do, this is a callback function, and oops, it will return in case of any error. So we'll say if error, we want basically to console.error, the error.message. So the errors message basically, yeah, not ESS, but ERR. All right, so that's the error message. And else we can say something like connected to the loans database, something like that. We can console.log that. Console.log, we can say connected to the loans database. All right, let's make this cleaner. So that's the first step in creating our application. We need first to create a DB connection, and after we will use that DB connection to do several operations. So we're going to do that right now, actually. We're going to create the loans table if it doesn't exist using that DB connection. And we're going to use the run function. And the run function, basically, you can see here highlighted in green, that's SQL statement. And optional callback function if you want. But mainly we want to write our database statement here to create the table if not exists. And we're going to call it loans. And inside that loans table, we want different fields. So the first field is going to be the ID. It's an integer, obviously. And also it's a primary key, which means it can be a foreign key to other table, but we don't have that one-to-many relation database here. We have only one table, which is loans table. So that's the primary key. And also it's auto, oops, I forgot key. And also it's auto increment. Then the next field we want is the name, and the name here is text and not null. Not null here is a constraint, which means that this field should never ever be empty. It should contain name, which is of a text data type. Next we want the amount, the amount, which is integer, also not null. And last but not least, we want the number of month. So month, also integer and not null. Don't forget to delete the comma, otherwise you will get an error, right? And we will add semicolon here. So that's the first operation, which is just creating a table with 4 fields: ID, name, amount, and month. Next, we want to define the questions to prompt the user. So let me actually add a comment here for you guys. So let's say create the loans, the loans table if it does not exist. Next, what I want to do, we want to define the questions to prompt the user. All right, to do that, I'm going to create an array of questions. That array is going to have different questions: the name of the user, the amount, and the number of months. If you remember in the demo, we have seen that. So name of the user is going to be the first object, basically. So the first object in that array type, and also we have worked with Inquirer package in the last tutorial. We have seen all of that in detail, so I'm not going to stress a lot about or stressed out these points here. So basically we have type, name, and message. So the type is input, obviously. The name is going to be name, yeah, name of the user, and the message, which is the question. So the question here, or the first question, what is your name? That's the first question. And we need some sort of validation check. So validate is the fourth element in that object. So we have a function, and that function is going to take whatever the value, whatever the name that you're going to enter. So function takes value, and we are going to check if value.length if value.length that we want to return true, right? Like that. Else what we want to return some message: please enter your name, something like that. Return, please enter your name. Okay, so far so good. That's the first object. So that's the first object here. All right. We can actually, you know what, we can do like that. We can do like this, and we can multiply that twice. So here we will have the amount, and here we will have the number of months. So here the name, yes, you guessed it, amount. Then the question, we're going to change the question, of course. So we'll say something like, how much is the loan amount in Polish zloty? Again, don't forget that we are talking specifically about the Polish zloty, because the interest rate according to the Polish central bank laws is 3.5% interest rate on the loan. So we'll say how much is the loan amount in PLN. All right, and then again we want some validation check, but here we will use the regular expression. So for validate, yeah, it's going to be the same function, but instead of if value.length, I want to create or declare a variable. I'll call it is valid, and we're going to repeat that during our application. So this is a regular expression to check out if the entered value is a number or not. We have seen the same when we created the USA retail tax CLI application, if you remember. We did exactly the same thing. So we will do // and then inside here we have a caret, then /, then D plus $. That's it. This is our regular expression. And you can check this online, it's no big deal. And in the last video in the Tax Inquirer CLI app, we have used a different regular expression to check out if the state code is 2 numbers or more. So we're going to use the test method, and that's a method that it's used only on the regular expressions. So we're going to pass inside here the value that the user is entering. And that test method basically returns a Boolean, true or false, that evaluates to whatever the value you have entered is true or false. So that's basically the is valid. Now, we're not going to say if value.length, of course. I'm going to say if is valid. And if is valid here means if is valid is true. Yeah, we will return true. Else, we will say something like, please enter a valid loan amount. Please enter a valid loan amount. All right, that's pretty clear, I hope, for you guys. We can actually take this and duplicate it like that. Can move this comment here, and we can delete all of that. All right, so that's the type, the name instead of amount, month, and we'll say how many months do you want to pay back the loan. So how many months you want to pay back the loan. And that's it. Basically the same exact code, except just for the error question, we'll say please enter a valid number of month instead of loan amount, valid number of month. Now what we want is to define the main function that will prompt the user. So that function basically is going to prompt the user and is going to calculate the loan and also saves the data to the database. So what we have actually written is just to the introduction, the necessities that we're going to use here in that function. So let me just add a comment. We will say define the main function that prompts the user also to calculate the loan and saves data to the database. All right, simple as that. We're going to create a main function. So that main function, we're going actually to use async await code, async await. We're going to use that. So I'm going to type async before the function. And async await code is just a feature in JavaScript, allowing you to write asynchronous code in a synchronous-like way. It wasn't in ES6, it came after. So ES6 was in 2015. This came, async await, I remember it came in 2017 and became very, very popular to handle asynchronous operations in all of the modern JavaScript applications, basically. So back to async keyword here. So this async keyword is used to define this asynchronous function. That means simply that it will return a promise. So if you don't know anything about async await, that's okay. Async keyword returns a promise and turns any function, or the function, to an asynchronous function. Asynchronous function. And that means that we will have a promise later. Yeah, we're going to do something with the input that we're going to get, or the response that we're going to get, which in our case here is the answer of the user, is the name, the amount, and the number of month. All right, that's simply it. And oh, as I spoke about async, let me also talk in brief about await. And await, as the name pertains, just holds on or pauses the execution of this function until the promise whether resolved or rejected. That's await in a nutshell. So await keywords pauses the execution of the asynchronous function till the promise is whether resolved or rejected. And I apologize, guys, if I was too long here, but I try to do my best explaining everything because not every one of you guys understand fully what is async await, what is arrow functions, what is whatever. Yeah, so I try to do my best explaining everything, and because sometimes people will be discouraged if they will not understand some difficult keywords such as arrow functions or callback functions or whatever, async await, for instance. They will just shut the tutorial. They will not continue watching or learning. Yeah. And I hope, by the way, that you're coding with me now. You're sitting on your computer and coding with me. That's a great way to understand. Do not only watch these tutorials. You need to code with me. That's why I showed you in the beginning how to install Node, how to use npm, and so on. All right, back to our function. So we have an asynchronous function called main. First thing that I want is to console.log simply. So we'll console.log. Now I'm going to use the chalk package, and the chalk package has different colors. So as you can see here, BG blue, black bright, black, gray, green, and so on. I'm going to use blue. That's my favorite color. And also we can make it bold. You can make it bold, you can make it italic. I think, if I'm not mistaken, italic, yeah, you can do both. So we're going to say here, welcome. Oops, let me minimize this a little bit. Welcome to the loan calculator. All right, and now I want to declare various variables. So various variables, that's difficult to say. I need some variables here. The first variable that I need is the answers. So the answers here, and that's the role of await, is going to hold on the execution of the main function until we get the response. Then after await, we will use the Inquirer package to prompt the user to answer the question. So dot prompt. And here we will pass the questions array. So that's the question array that we have created here. Right? We're going to pass it in the prompt. So that's the first variable. I need also the name, the amount, the month. So let's do that. So answer here, name, amount, month. Also, I need the interest rate and the monthly installments. So interest rate and monthly underscore installment. Right? That's the, or we can just say installment only. All right. So all of that is, we're going to delete all the other awaits because we'll need only await for questions, and we don't need all of that. So the name is answers dot name. The amount is the answers dot amount, and of course we will need to parse that. So parse int to parse that from string to number. The same thing for month. So we'll do answers dot month, or wrap that, parse int. All right, great. And the interest rate here is, I told you, 3.5%. So 0.035. Yeah, that's the, oops, just add one line comment here. We'll say 3.5 interest rate according to Polish Central Bank. And the installment, we're going to use a built-in module called math to use the ceiling. And here we want the amount multiplied by, I don't think it's difficult for you guys to understand that. So we're going to multiply the amount, and here we want 1 plus the interest rate divided by the number of month. So divided by the number of month. And finally, we're going to console.log, and we're going to give the user the amount of the monthly installment that he or she should pay. So we'll say console log. Again, I'm using chalk.green and also bold. And I will use template literals just for placeholder, just to substitute the actual value. Your monthly installment is, we're using $, curly braces, and that variable inside here to be plugged inside that placeholder. And we will say Polish zloty, which is the currency. So your monthly installment is, and the amount based on the calculation, Polish zloty. All right, so that's as far as the scope block. We have just introduced the application. We have declared few variables, and we have calculated the monthly installment payable by the user. But that's not enough, because we will need to save all of these data inside the SQLITE database. So what I want to do is db.run, and here not template literals, just simple single quotes. And again, we're going to type a new SQL statement to insert into the loans table. What we want to insert, we want the name, the amount, and the month. And we want to enter the values of these fields, yeah? So placeholder, placeholder, placeholder. And that's going to be substituted by whatever the name, the amount, and the month. Then I want to create an easily invocable function to take error as input, and we'll say if error, if there is an error here, we will console.error, and we're going again to do error.message. Otherwise, we want, we can do else, or we can just simply type what we want. Console.log, and we want to print in yellow bold. So I'm going again to take the chalk dot. This time I'm using the yellow color, again bold, to be visible to everyone. And we're using template literals again, and we'll say your loan details have been saved with ID, and here I want to use the last ID, so the self or this object's last ID. So again, we're using the $, curly brace, and we're saying this dot last ID. That's the property that returns the last ID entered. Why there are a lot of curly braces? All of that is not needed. Yeah, there you go. That's better. All right, so that's basically it. That's the db.run method to insert into the loans table the name, the amount, and the month. All right, so that's the first function. We will need multiple functions as well. One to view all loans and another one to update a loan. So let's do that. So here we'll do function to, let's do view all loans first, view all loans, and another one function to update a loan. All right, so we're going to start by the first function, view all loans. So I'm going to call it view all loans. It doesn't take any parameters. And I want to send a database or SQLITE query, so db all. And basically what I want to do here is to send a statement or a query to select everything from the loans table. So the first argument in all method is SQL query or SQL statement, and the second argument is a callback function. So we're going to say select all from the loans table. All right, and a callback function, it takes error as first argument and rows, and these are the rows in the table because we're going to use for each array method to loop over the rows and then printing all the rows inside the table. So that will return, here we will have first conditional based on the error or the potential error. So we'll say if error, so I want to console.error this error message. All right, let's do like that. Else we will say console.log, and we will print that using the chalk package in a bold yellow font. So yellow.bold, say all loans, not here, here. Then I want now to use the for each array method on the rows. So rows.forEach, and that will take the row as input. And we will console.log everything in the table. So I'm using the template literals here to plug in every value to that specific placeholder, the ID number, the name, the amount, and the number of month. All right, so let's do that. ID is, and here we'll do $, curly brace, row.id. Similarly, we will do for the name. Name is equal to, and $, curly brace, this, row dot name, amount, ELN, and finally number of month, row dot and month. This is it. That's it for this function. Later we're going to use all of these functions to create the main function that will prompt the actual user based on the choice to view all loans, update loan, add a loan, or exit. So now we are constructing, or we are adding the building blocks of the main function that we didn't create it yet. I don't mean the main, this one. This is just main function here is to add. I can change that, by the way. We can call this add loan to not confuse you. So we have created the add loan. We have created the view all loans. And later here, after each, by the way, after each function, we will need to invoke that main function that we'll create below. All right, so that's it for view all loans function. I just forgot semicolon here, and I think here as well, semicolon, and also here. All right, now let's go ahead and create our update loan function. So I'm going to call that update loan. That's the name of the last function that we have. And here I'm going to use the inquirer.prompt. So inquirer.prompt. And inquirer.prompt, by the way, returns a promise. So later I'm going to use .then to do something with the return data. So basically what I want, first of all, is the ID. So the ID, the amount, and the month. When you will choose this option to update loan, you will be prompted to enter your ID number. Based on that ID number, the database will specify the amount of loan that's going to be changed, and after it's going to be updated or saved. And also for month, not only the amount. So inquirer.prompt, I will need an array. So here I want to enter the ID of loan to update. So the first element in this object is the input. So that's the first thing. The name here is ID, obviously. Next, I need the message. So what's the message that's going to be displayed? We'll say enter the ID of the loan you want to update. All right, and finally we will need again validation check, and basically it's going to be the same code for the ID number, the amount, and the month, because we will need to make sure that they're all integers and not strings. So validate here is going to be a function that takes the value that you will enter. And again, we'll do const is valid, and that again will be equal to that forward slash, then the caret, we have /d plus $, right? Dot test, and we said test returns a Boolean value, and it's only used with regular expressions, and basically it's returning whether this is a valid number or not, true or false, right? Boolean value. and takes that value. Then we will say if is valid, then we will return true. Else we will say something like enter, or please enter a valid ID number. Right, something like that. And we need just here to do like this, and also like this. So let's repeat that code. Let's repeat this object. We'll repeat it twice. 1, 2. Now instead of ID we'll need amount, and here instead of ID also I will need month. Here enter the amount that you wish to update, and here enter can do the updated number of month. All right, and also the messages here we will change that. We'll say please enter a valid amount. Here please enter a valid number of month. All right, and let me just delete those 3 points for the sake of coherence, nothing more, nothing less. So we have basically our 3 objects in our inquirer.prompt array. Now we need to use .then. So we said that prompt.inquirer returns a promise. So that promise is going to be either onResolved or onRejected. So we will say simply .then, and we will take choices as the main parameter. You can read the description here. So unfulfilled, which means that this promise is resolved. So unfulfilled or unrejected. So either the promise is resolved or rejected. So choices in this case are the inputs that you are entering, your ID, your amount, and month to be updated. So simply we want to return different variables to be declared. So the first one is the ID, and simply I'm going to parse into string. We need to parse the ID, the amount, and month, because basically you are entering them in a form of string. So we'll need to parse that into integer. So const ID is equal to parse int, and we're going to pass the choices dot ID. And similarly for the amount, so we'll do like that, amount, and here month. All right, so simple as that. We have 3 different variables now, all of which are in form of integer. And now I will need to actually update the database. So let me just add a comment here, updating the database. So again, I'm going to do db.run to enter a query to update the loan. And SQLITE3 actually is going to update everything with the changes property. There is a property called changes, but for now I want to update the loans table, and I want to set the amount equal to a placeholder, basically, right? It's equal to interrogation mark, month, and ID. All right, following that, an array of amount, month, and ID. And again, I'm going to create a function that takes error if there are any errors, to check with a conditional if there is an error, or if error is true. Then I want to console dot error this error message. All right. Otherwise, I want to print or console log using the chalk package dot yellow dot bold, and we'll say like loan, or I'm going to use template literals here because I'm going to plug some values. So let's just do like that. Loan with ID, and here $ and curly brace, we'll take the ID, has been updated, and also we'll say the number of rows affected. So we'll say rows affected, and here I'm going to use the changes property. As I told you, say this dot changes, and you can see here that this is a property. If you will click on changes, that's SQLITE3.TypeScript file. You can find here the last ID. That's the last ID in the table to be printed or to be console.logged, and also changes, and this is the number of rows affected. This is the changes, right? How many rows have been changed due to the update function. All right, so that's simply it. So don't worry, SQLITE3 takes care of everything. So the function that we are going actually to create now is the main function that will prompt the main menu. So let's go ahead and call this function main. Main is a very cliche name. Let's say prompt main menu. That's a long name. Prompt main, or as you like, I will leave it like that. Prompt main menu function. And I will use again Inquirer.prompt. Okay, so here I will need only one object, which is the list. So the type is going to be list. And by the way, you can change that. You can change that. You can check out the Inquirer package. Let's just Google that quickly. Inquirer package for Node.js. Yeah. All right. Let's check it out. You can see all the methods here. Inquirer prompt, and it returns a promise, as we saw. Register prompt, we didn't use that. Create prompt module, also we didn't have to use that. So let's search for the type. Yeah, there you go. So the type here is list. Yeah, these arrows that you can use up and down to choose what you want. All right. We have also row list, which is numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Instead of just choosing the arrow, changing the color, and choosing the item that you want to choose, basically. Here it will be the same, but from 1 to whatever the number of the list that you have. All right. Type expand, that I've never seen before. So to expand, you can expand here, so you can overwrite. And if you type Y, I think you will have other options. I'm not really sure. Yeah, but that's worth trying. Also, you have checkbox. This is very nice. It looks even cool. Different colors, and you know. All right, so we will use just here list. So the type is list. Name is choices. And the message is going to be what would you like to do? And then finally, the choices here that we have will have an array of different choices. So the first is view all loans. View all loans, that's the first option. Second option is to update loan. The third option is add a new loan, and exit. Now we will use again .then, and I'm going to use .then here to return that promise from the choices. Based on the choice, we will have different scenarios. Those scenarios invoking different methods: update loan, view all loans, and add loan. All right, I think the image is very clear to you guys now. So .then, again, it will take choices. And I can use, of course, if statement. I'm going to use switch. So we will use the keyword switch here. So switch is taking choices dot individual or one choice, and then we will have different scenarios. So case first is view all loans. In this case, I want to invoke that function, view all loans function. So I'm going to call that function. I'm going to break. Another case is to update a loan. And here we are invoking the update loan function. Case add a loan. We are going to add loan function or invoke that add loan function. Again, we're going to break. All right. And case exit. Of course, we don't need to create any function for that, because simply we will close the connection, db.close. But before that, let me just type something like so console.log chalk.blue. Let's do magenta VG or magenta bright. Let's do magenta bright. And we can do, by the way, so take a look. We can do background black bright, background black bright. There was background magenta bright. Yeah, chalk background magenta bright. Let's do it like that. Let's change a little bit. Dot bold, and we can say something like, thank you for using our software. All right, that's basically to close the connection, and of course we will break. All right, and don't forget to invoke that function at the end of the application, this prompt main menu function. So prompt main menu function. And also let's not forget to invoke that function here. So here prompt or prompt main menu, we will invoke that here, and also we will need to invoke it in viewing all loans here, prompt main menu. All right, cool. And also we will do it here, prompt main menu. All right, guys, so that's it. Basically our application, we are done with it. So I forgot the clause where, that's very important in update loans set amount and month, where ID is whatever the ID that you're going to enter to update the amount and the month. So don't forget to add where. I've just forgot it, omitted it when I was typing. Also, that's not template literals, it's just single strings. All right, so that's very important. These are two things to change. And also here, name is not choices, but choice. Yeah, because we are going to, as you saw here, we are just switching each choice of the choices based on these different case scenarios. And that's basically it. All right, so moment of truth. Let's open our integrated terminal. For that, let me open the Explorer to show you that the loans.db is going to be generated automatically when we run the application. So we'll say node app.js or run that, and notice here on the left side, loans.db has been created. Perfect. What would you like to do? Use arrow keys. So let's use the arrow keys, and they are working perfectly. If we'll do exit, thank you for using our software. Perfect, that's working fine. At least the fourth option is working correctly. Let's run that again. View all loans, we shouldn't have anything, that's correct. If we want to add a new loan, let's say John Doe wants to take 100,000 Polish zloty. And how many months you want to pay back the loan? Let's say 12 months. He's rich. He's going to pay 8,625 Polish zloty, right? Which is something around $2,000, something like that. Now, if we'll do view all loans, we have a new record or new row that has been added to our database table. Perfect. Now let's say that we want to update that loan. Let's say that John Doe found out that he needs more money. So let's say that he needs $200,000. But to do that, we need to enter the ID of the loan that we want to update. So we have ID 1. Now we can type 200,000. And let's say that he wants to repay the loan on 24 months. Perfect. Loan with ID 1 has been updated. Row affected equal to 1. It should be rows affected. I forgot an S, by the way. Perfect. So let's take a look. Name John Doe, amount 200,000 and month 24. It has been updated correctly. Now, if I will exit the application and if you will run it again, and if I will do view all loans, still the data exists because we have our loans.db file. All right, so all of the functionalities work perfectly, and you can improve upon this application. I don't know, you can think of something. You can add, by the way, the installment here and the updated installment, for instance. All right, so that wraps it up. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have learned something new from it. If you have any questions or suggestions, please drop them in the comment section below. Again, thank you so much for all of the channel subscribers. Thank you so much for the channel's members. Your support is highly appreciated and I enjoy communicating with you guys. So until next time, keep coding, keep learning, and I will see you soon. Take it easy, guys.